Good morning, my creative friends, and welcome to Painting in Your PJs with Minette. I'm Dr. Minette Riordan, and Painting in Your PJs is my playtime. This is the place that I get to show up a couple of times a week and experiment and explore the things that are kind of going on with me and important to me, not so much a step by step tutorial as a here's what I'm working on, and I can't wait to see what you create from this idea or suggestion that I might have. And for the next few weeks, I am making paper dolls. I didn't know that I liked making paper dolls, and I don't know that I did as a kid. But lately, I've been having such a blast in my art journals creating characters. Good morning, Tori. Creating characters that don't move. And so I decided to just kind of let my imagination run free and see what I could create. So here's a couple that I have created over the last week, and you can see they're created with bits of fabric and ribbon and collage paper. And I am thinking for my Thursday show that I am going to do some hand painted papers and maybe some hand painted fabrics. I think I'm going to play with my gel print and some painty papers and fabric and create some of our own clothes, if you will. But this weekend or on Friday, I went and helped a girlfriend move, and she is a stationer and she has so much sample paper. So she set aside a bunch of stuff for me. And so when you think about making clothes for mixed media paper dolls that are a little more contemporary, good morning, Judy. And feel like you've got to kind of dig into your box. Do you remember as a kid playing in your grandmother's dress up drawer? I don't know if your grandmother or your mom had a dress up drawer, but mine certainly did. When I was in let me move these lights a little bit. When I was in Oregon with my girlfriends, my friend Allie brought us some fabric scraps. These are sari silk. These are little silk scraps that could be stitched together to make some really beautiful doll clothes. I have a ton of ribbon. This is left over from my last retreat. And then when I went to see my friend Lainey, she gifted me a box of ribbon and she gifted me all these gorgeous paper samples. So she has retired from her business, but she still had so much paper because when she was doing wedding invitations, these companies would send her paper sample. Oh, I love it that you're making one for your granddaughter. And it's so fun. I loved playing dress up. So these are very wedding like, but aren't these are going to make not only beautiful dresses or clothes for my dolls, but I'm very curious to take some of this fun textured paper and play with it on my gel print. Looks like I pulled out a lot that were in the same color, but look at those beautiful embossed pages. So look around for paper scraps and paper samples. There are tons of places you can find stuff like this, like resale shops. Here's some bronzy ones. Ooh, that one feels really, really lovely. And so just look through your stash of stuff. You don't need big pieces. The size of these pieces are absolutely perfect for creating our paper dolls, and they're literally, I have a whole box of this. So Tori, if you want some, let me know, and when I come up to Estes, I will bring you some paper to play with, or I'd love to get you down to the studio and then you could have some fun playing. This one, look at the colors in that. So I've got plenty of goodies to use and to share. This isn't even a fraction of what she gave me, and I just grabbed a stash of these. Ooh, I'm loving this one. the colors. It's a little bit purple and shimmery. Me too. Look at that one. Oh, magical. So many beautiful things here. And like I said, I think it's going to be fun to do both use these as actual clothes or use them in my art journals, but also try them with the gel print. So you can see there's just a ton of stuff and a bazillion different fabric or textures and colors. And I love every single one of them, and I'm so grateful that she gifted them to me. Love that sort of mauve. They call that fire red. That's not red to me. Ooh, this one's going to be amazing. It's like an alligator print. Amazing. Now I'm all excited to get the gel print out. Look at that sort of sparkly animal print. That one feels good. I also have this old velvet bag that I ordered thinking that I would maybe use this for a project, but it's a little hard to stitch in. I still might do some stitching on it, but I also thought that because I had to order like 10 of them, so I might cut up some of this old gorgeous velvet bag that might not get used for anything else and use that as a doll. So look around and see what you have that's paper, that's fabric, that's ribbon, old bits of lace from people. Here's an old feather. Looks like it has got chewed on by my cats. That's kind of a big feather for the dolls that I'm creating. I don't know, these little mushrooms were really kind of speaking to me today, so I pulled those out. Here's a leftover piece of paper napkin that already has matte medium on it. So literally you can use absolutely anything for creating your dolls. Book text, scrapbook paper. So don't feel limited. You could do it 100% from magazine images. And then giving credit to Gudrun Shodrin for her gorgeous models and her beautiful clothes. I'm using these as the basis for my paper dolls. And I have a couple that I have already started gathering. So here's a piece of hand painted paper that was really speaking to me, and that might even go with some of these little silky scraps. Yeah, that one kind of feels good. And I loved this horse, so feeling kind of whimsical and playful. So we've talked, some of my other paper dolls were about new beginnings. Some of them were about dreams. I had my big dragon lady that I created that really feels like she's my muse right now for writing. And so when I'm thinking today, so work right now is wonderful and very busy at the same time. And so when I started to think about what's the theme, where do I need to maybe dig in a little deeper and do a little work today, the thought that came to me was don't forget to play, right? Like if we don't make some of this harder stuff that we're doing playful, then it can feel kind of challenging. So I think this was maybe supposed to be a wing, but it's not looking like a wing. My friend Lainey also gave me a silhouette paper cutter, and I can't wait to have time to figure out how to use it and get it all together. Thought I heard the cat climbing a bookshelf or something behind me. But I'm loving this. I love the look on her face because she feels a little whimsical and playful, and I'm feeling drawn to these sort of fiery reds and oranges. And I had one of these little stick horses as a kid. I kind of love this little stick horse. So I'm thinking I'm going to play maybe with this particular character here. I'm loving this paper too. I'm not sure what I'm going to do with that, but maybe I'm going to start with these pieces, put some of this aside, and see what kind of fun we can have creating a paper doll that feels like play. I mean, the whole aspect of creating paper dolls in and of themselves is that it's a playful experiment, right? It's not intended. Let's see, this I believe is her template for her dress. It is. And it's such a reminder that as we get older, we have to remember how to play. A lot of us have forgotten what play means to us. Now, some of us have playful spirits and we never stop playing. Others of us are very serious, or there's a lot going on in our lives, and we can get disconnected from what does it mean to play. Or I had one client who was raised in an immigrant family. She was first generation American, and play was not an acceptable activity. She was meant to always be doing something more useful and productive with her time. Okay, I think this is just going to fit on here, but we're probably going to piece some of the parts together. It's okay if we don't get her hand on there, but I loved this little scrappy bit of painty paper. This piece of paper was made with acrylic inks. When Maggie was here, we had gotten some new colors, and so we were just literally putting paint on paper and playing with the paint. And so I made a humongous mess on a piece of paper, one of my favorite, again, very playful to just play with our materials. I'm going to quite get her shoulder on there, but that's all right. We're going to start with this, and we may end up covering it all up. It definitely was helpful if you didn't watch the first video where I talked about creating the patterns. I'm so glad that I took the time to make the patterns. It definitely makes the process go a little faster. Plus then I have all these gorgeous patterns already cut out. And as a reminder, if you haven't signed up for our Queen's Cloak Mythical Makeover experience that is coming up in just a couple of weeks, there's still time to sign up for that. The link to sign up for that is in the description of the video below, and we currently have over 300 people joining us. I could not be more thrilled and excited with how this one is really resonating with people. Okay, I can see her little collar under there. And paper dolls is one of the activities that we will be doing. Okay, I'm going to get her hands. And I'm having fun kind of sort of piecing these things together in some different and interesting ways so that we get some of those body parts still showing. This one I actually cut out her sleeve. I'm kind of thinking I might even cut out this whole other arm here, and using some of the original figure along with the, let's see, along with the collage papers is what really starts to make these characters come alive, and we get to start making them their own. I actually love this as a dress already all by itself. We're definitely going to want her boots on there. So I'm going to go ahead and glue some of this together. And Tori, I can totally see you making paper dolls with your granddaughter as well. I love this little bit of blue lace at the bottom, and the blue being the just a nice complementary color. I think that's why I was drawn to the horse here, was because of those sort of complementary colors. But I love this dude because it just kind of reminds me again of the just continuing to have that spirit of play. And then I'm gluing my cutout dress straight on to the paper doll. The more layers you add, the more permanent or solid your dolls become and the longer they will last. So it's a great idea to have some fun building up those layers. This one on here. And notice today all we have is paper and scissors and a glue stick. So, I think we can get caught up in having to make our dolls perfect or beautiful or, all the different things that we use to get ourselves caught up in our perfectionism of, oh, I can't do that, I don't have the right things. But really, this is one of the simplest crafts that you can do here, right? Is just to play, just to play with what you have on hand. I'm such a fan of just simply using what it is that we have on hand. And so I need to decide where our little horsey, he's awful big relative to her, but that feels okay. But I'm wondering if he needs to have her maybe look like she's sort of holding on to him a little bit more. The nice thing about working with glue stick over matte medium when you're piecing together your paper dolls is that you do have a little flexibility in how things stick down. So he feels kind of like he's looming. He's so much bigger than her, and it feels like there's something purposeful that's happening here as part of the story that is emerging, and that there's an intention between this, almost as if this is an aspect of herself. It feels like if we're going to get that playful energy in there, we need sort of some sun happening. Somehow these little bits of yellow are really wanting to come in. So even though we're creating paper dolls, this is very much like the same process I use when I am creating intuitive collage. So you'll notice that my doll is kind of my scene, and she's growing and emerging and taking on meaning as I create her. Okay, all right, so I'm going to commit to my horse being there. We're going to glue him down. This seems to want to, there's like this beautiful light. Again, it's just that sense that it's all sort of dreamy. And it doesn't have to always mean something right away. Sometimes when we get into the creative especially when we're working with expressive arts and intuitive arts, we want to know what it means. But I would recommend letting things sit, letting them move around, carry it around with you, sit it on your desk, watch it, play with it, connect with it, and just really enjoy letting it tell its story. I'm wondering if I could gather this up and give her a skirt. So very much like with Gudrun Sodrin's beautiful work, she has a lot of different gorgeous layers that she creates that are super inspiring. And I'm thinking we could probably just use a little stitching to gather that up and create this wonderful skirt. Could also simply wrap it and create a skirt, but I kind of like the gathered image, and I may cut out this arm here so I have some little bit of wiggle room to put that skirt underneath our other pieces. And see if I still have a needle here. Sometimes you can do this even just with a stapler. And I'm thinking I want to get a little bit of ribbon, and I have this fun little piece of lace. It has gingham on one side, and it has these pretty little hearts in it. It's even just about the right length, but it's not the right color. I want it to be the blue. So I'm going to show you how I'm going to take some acrylic ink, and I'm just going to dye this up real quick. And then when it's dry, I will add it to my paper doll. Let's see, I'm looking for a little bit bigger needle here. And she's really speaking to me today. I can't wait to create a doll with her. And I was looking through, some of the clothes that I have already cut out. This is what I was talking about when you create all the fabric or the templates, then you have this opportunity to start to use all kinds of images and put them together in different ways. This is someone's gorgeous painting, probably from an art journaling magazine. It looks a little bit like maybe Ivy Newport. That makes her neck really long, but it makes it fit on there. So this one is kind of calling to me today as well. We're going to have a pretty short show because I got to get ready for something at 8 o'clock. I kind of like this too, but maybe I'm thinking our horsey here definitely is going to need his reins. So maybe he's going to get some of the blue on there for some of his reins. So again, it's just that having fun looking at all the little bits and pieces and thinking about how we can repurpose them and reuse them. I'm also looking at this. I love this fun stuff. And here's a beautiful piece of wrong blue. Sorry. There's some little really sparkly bits of something in there. Too pink. Again, so much of this is about what do I have that I can use that I have on hand. So I'm going to go ahead and dye this little piece of lace up real quickly. I don't think I'm going to end up using any of these, but on Thursday I want to do a gel print session and I will play with these, and I want to do some paper and some fabric just some plain white muslin and see what we can create to sort of start making our own paper dolls. And I am looking for, here we go. Oh, here was the big piece of paper that I cut that little bit of that dress out of, right? I just took the piece that I liked. I kind of like what's happening over here too. This might be a fun one to come back and add zentangle patterns to. But I kind of love, these are even a little more wingy looking than what I have on her now. That's kind of fun, kind of continues that pattern behind her. Okay, food for thought. You get set aside. I was looking for just a little scrappy bit of paper here. So I've got some Daler Rowney acrylic ink, which is one of my favorite things to play with. What I don't have is a spray bottle, and normally it's helpful to have a spray bottle to do this. Oh, there's my spray bottle. I'm like, I know it's here somewhere. And I'm just going to go ahead and dampen that fabric a little bit. And then I'm literally just going to drip some of that ink on there. And you can see how it's spreading. And then I'm just going to take and wad it up. I'm going to get it does not take a lot of ink. It's going to get my fingers all painty. I can even go over that gingham, so I keep that little bit of gingham on there. And then all of a sudden here we have this beautifully dyed piece of fabric, and you can hit it with a a hair dryer, or let it air dry. Stick it in a heat press if you have one, right? Or just give it some time. I want this to be completely dry before I end up adding it on there. But look how cute that's going to be to add that little bit of blue. It could have even been a little bit of a darker blue. So I am going to roll over here and see what else I got. I think a lot of the blues that I have are a nice light blue. You can also do this not just with watercolor, but you could also do it with, there's one, do it with liquid. You can do it with acrylic inks, you could do it with liquid watercolors, or you could do it with any watercolor paints. So here's a little bit darker blue. So I'm just going to daub a little bit on there. And mix that up a little bit. And that feels a little bit better. It's like a combination of those two blues. And then it feels like it matches. Oh, I'm so happy, Carol. That smoke, man, is just, it's awful, awful, awful. So there is our little bit of lace, which I'm going to set aside and let it dry. And of course, my baby wipes are over on the other side of the studio as well. So I'm literally dipping my hands in my bucket of water, clean my hands off just a little bit. Alcohol inks. Yeah, you know, I have never played with alcohol inks. I mean, I take that back. I have played with alcohol inks, but it definitely is about the substrate that you use, and I found that they were not my favorite. Probably because I didn't know what I was doing with them. Okay, so I have a needle. I have my little piece of fabric. I'm thinking I'm going to go ahead and trim this up a little bit to just give it a little bit of an angle, and then we're going to stitch this piece on and see if we can gather it just a little bit. These are terrible scissors for cutting fabric, but we're gonna make it work. Actually, yeah, perfect. So it's going to gather a little bit more nicely at the top and have a little bit more of a flow down here on the bottom. And what we got, I think I have a little bit of yellow thread. So, oh, here's a nice piece of orange that'll work. Nice scrappy bit. So, you know, keeping these shorter, scrappy bits of things are great for, that one even has a knot in the end already. How nice is that? Look at my blue fingers. So I'm using all 6 strands of this embroidery floss. And this silk is very, very fine. So I'm going to be very mindful to sort of not pull that through too much. And let's see, I think we want this probably way up here under her arm, where her natural waist would be. I don't know what I'm doing, and we're just going to figure it out as we go. Sewing is definitely not one of my, I want this to start on the back, I think, not the front here. So let's try this again. Is not one of my geniuses, and I'm wondering, do I want to gather it and then, I don't know, food for thought. Okay, so one of the things I'm going to do to make this easier and go a little bit faster is I'm actually going to pre-poke the holes. So when you're working on surfaces that tend to be a little bit thicker, you can help yourself out by pre-poking the holes either with your needle or with an awl, especially if you're working on a much thicker substrate. Of course, now I can't get the needle threaded again. There we go. Okay, let's try this again. So I love when we are on here and I mess up or I don't know what I'm doing, because I hope that it gives you permission to just experiment. Some of you probably sew already much better than I do. And I'm noticing that this is going to be a little tricky to sew because it is so fine. So I'm going to put just a little bit of a pleat in this and then take it back down. If I were just trying to pleat the fabric, it would be easier, but I'm trying to pleat the fabric and stitch it on here at the same time. That actually worked fine. And if we need to add a little bit of glue on here as well, we will. I'm going to do one more little pleat across there, and then I might actually iron that or even glue it down at some point. Figuring out where my hole is. I think this is going to end up being just about right. Perfectly imperfect. That's how I roll. And then now that I have it stitched on here, I'll be able to fuss with it and move it around a little better. I'm going to get his tail out of the way, or his stick there. Anybody else have a stick horse growing up? So if you're just joining us, this doll was intended to be all about play, remembering to be playful, to get outside, right? Remember our generation, we were the ones that got sent outside to play and told to stay there. Oops. And we did, and it was fun. And we played so many creative games. Built forts inside and outside. I also grew up with a horse and would ride my horse around our neighborhood by myself as a first grader, right? You know, we didn't have the limits and the issues that, you know, we seem to have these days. Okay, so I'm going to also cut this arm here a little bit so that I can get that skirt to lie underneath the arm. And then it just gives us a little bit more flow. Okay, she's coming together. She does feel very playful, reconnecting to some of those childhood loves. And now I want to come back over here to this piece. I'm going to fussy cut this edges out. And so as a reminder, on Thursday we are going to work with gel printing and on paper and fabric and create some of our own doll clothes, which I am super excited about. Today was really about looking around and seeing what do you have on hand that you can use. Okay, that's good. That looks more like wings. Let's see if we can make that fit in there a little bit better. Oh, she's coming together. Love. And for me, the little bit messier that they are, the less perfect they are, the more playful and childlike it feels, the less attached I am to making it be about anything other than me connecting to that spirit of play, right? So all of a sudden she has these fun wings. She has her stick horse. I loved everything horsey as a kid, Pegasus, unicorns. I don't know, maybe this one needs to make it even a little more whimsical, a little bit of a unicorn horn. This is the fun part about paper dolls, is that we can just try things on for size. Nope, looks too much like a party hat. Okay, so let's get this tucked down a little bit more. All right, so the last piece of her here is going to be, I don't know, I'm thinking maybe she needs a little bit of ribbon. Once this is dry, this is going to get stuck on at the bottom. Above her boots. So it's just kind of tuck in underneath there. So she's got that little bit of lace. Not only is it a fun little bit of lace, but then it reconnects the blue here to the blue up here. And I feel like maybe she needs just that little something something around her waist as well. That's going to kind of pull all these colors together. Okay, you go get dry. All right, so I'm going to maybe trim that up a little bit more. Or it could just kind of I kind of like that too. Maybe it doesn't need to go all the way around. But I'm definitely feeling like I want to just think about it a little bit. And he definitely feels like he needs a little something something on him. So there's still a little bits and pieces to go here. So I'm going to finish this one up a little bit later. I got to go get ready for another appointment this morning, but I wanted to have at least a little time to stop by and say hello and play and show how easy it is to just piece things together from your stash to have some fun. So here is most of the paper doll representing a spirit of play this morning. As always, thank you so much for joining me. So if you've got a gel plate and some acrylic paints, join me on Thursday and we're going to do some handmade paper dolls. Lovely to be here with all of you, and I'll see you guys all soon. Have a great rest of your day. Bye, everybody.